Grazia, General Manager at Old Street, and today we're gonna cooking some Christmas recipe specific from Italy, where I'm from. And I'm not gonna be alone, so today we're gonna have some guests, and the first guest that I'm gonna introduce you is Fleur, that she's gonna tell you a bit more about what she does in Fora and what is her passion.
So I'm Fleur from People and Wine, and I work with Fora on the culture and also consult into wine. So today is fantastic. It's my two passion, wine and culture around Christmas.
Amazing. So what we're gonna cook today is some cannelloni pasta and beef involtini that typically are called brasciole. So we're gonna start from the beef involtini because the tomato sauce is gonna be the base of the cannelloni pasta. But while I'm cooking, I'm not gonna be alone, as I said before. We're gonna have some more guests, and here we got Tom and Lee together. And they're gonna tell you about themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I'm Tom, and I would imagine you probably guessed that this is Lee. We've been part of the Fora family now for nearly 3 years, but it's actually not the first time that we worked together. We actually met when both Lee and I were in theatre. We met when we were doing Grease in 1990-something. That's all you need to know. So yeah, I mean, once again, actually, there's lots of passions here because we both love food and we both love wine. So actually, it's kind of happy days.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna start to cook some beef involtini called brasciole, and here you got all the ingredients. So I'm gonna start to kind of explain all the process. It's very simple as all the recipe that I'm gonna show you guys. And what you will need some beef sliced. I will suggest some beef veal rump, I think is the best cut. And for 4 people, you will need at least like 4 slices. So then you need some capers, some onions, parsley, parmesan, garlic, salt and pepper. I do have here already sliced the meat, and also don't forget to get some toothpicks because this is gonna be the trick to close them. So once you got everything ready on your work station, I'm gonna start with some capers here. And just put a couple of slices of parmesan, a bit of parsley, and just a bit of garlic. A tiny piece is fine just to give some flavor. And you're gonna top it up with some black pepper. And then once you close it, you might need a couple of toothpicks. And what you're gonna do is basically tie the meat and roll it. Make sure it gets like closed, and if it opens up, like just close like that. So you might need more than 2 just in case. And this is my first one, so I'm gonna carry on with the other involtini.
So Grazia, is this a traditional Italian Christmas dish?
So this is a traditional Sunday dish, but in my family we usually make it, or most family of the south of Italy, we make it on Christmas Day as well. And kind of this one will be the first of one of the mains. So it's not the only one.
No.
So as many people know, like we celebrate for a couple of days, it's not just one day. And so this one is on Christmas Day. And usually family makes quite a lot of them because then on the 26th we eat all the leftovers. So I'm gonna keep rolling and close with the toothpicks. So Lee, what do you usually do on Christmas Day? What are the...
We're quite traditional, aren't we?
Yeah.
We usually have, obviously, a glass of champagne in the morning.
Nice.
Usually some eggs, maybe salmon for breakfast. Quite traditional English, I think. And then obviously the big Christmas lunch with the family. Usually turkey.
Okay.
Sometimes goose, but usually turkey.
The interesting thing is the fact that, you know, you say that for us, certainly, I don't know whether it's the same with everyone, is the fact that you get to Christmas Day and you go, oh, well, we'll have this, and then we'll have this for later, and then we'll have this for later, and you never quite get to later because you're so full after your Christmas dinner that you kind of go, oh, I've got all this amazing cheese, but you never quite get to it. And then about 11 o'clock at night, you go, oh, I just fancy some cheese, and then you just don't sleep.
Or it spreads over 3-4 days and then continues until New Year.
So, same as in Italy then.
Absolutely.
So does it matter the order that you're putting that in?
Not really, because basically then you're gonna slow cook. So the cheese is gonna melt, and
Right.
obviously all the aroma are gonna melt with the meat.
And how long do they cook for?
Well, it's a slow cooked, so you cook the involtini first for about 5 minutes. Once they start to change color, you will add the tomato sauce.
Oh, okay.
And then you slow cook for a couple of hours at least.
So then the meat takes on all the flavours of the tomato
Exactly.
sauce and everything that's inside the voltini?
Involtini.
Involtini. I'm Italian. Bilingual. It's
Yes,
amazing.
you are. So as you have all the involtini ready, we're gonna chop some onions. Make sure they are chopped very small, and then we're gonna put them in the oil that needs to be quite hot. And just get ready this one. So guys, what are you gonna do this Christmas? Have you got this plan for this year?
Probably a little quieter than usual. I've got quite a big family, and Tom's family live in Portsmouth, so we get to see them obviously separately. But I think it will be a bit of a toned down version of our usual Christmas. But sometimes I think that will make it kind of even more special this year, because it's obviously the year has been
Strange.
Slightly crazy.
slightly unexpected. So having a different Christmas, everything else has been different.
Okay.
So different Christmas.
Also, I think when as you know, when like we've got Charlie who's 8, and normally we kind of get up, get going, and go
Yeah, we're
right.
really
That's
busy.
it. We're going, and he's kind of like, hang on, this is Christmas Day. Father Christmas has just been. What's happening here? And we're going right. Come on, we've got to get to Nanny's. So it's just going to be really nice, I think, to be
It'll be a
able
bit
to
more
kind
relaxed,
of
won't it?
slow down a little bit and to kind of take stock of everything that's kind of going on in the day and just enjoying it through him and with him.
Oh, that's nice. So I got my pot ready with the olive oil. So I'm just transferring all my chopped onions into a little bowl just to help myself while I'm cooking. And I'm gonna move just to the fire. I'm gonna put the fire on and just wait for a couple of minutes until this gets warm enough. And what you want is just to put the onions into the olive oil.
So when you say that you make lots of these, when you say lots, how many is lots?
So usually, like in my family, we make about 50 just for Christmas Day. 50 involtini.
For how many people?
2.
It's going to be more or less like 15 people. And then we got the roast, and then, you got other dishes with that. So it's quite a lot. We kind of, we like
It's Christmas.
eating. Yeah, and we obviously spend most of the time on the table all
table.
together. So we might have the starters, the second starter, and then stop for a bit, and then just move into the mains. They usually is pasta, and, and then we move on to the meat dishes.
But that's the nice thing, isn't it? When you've got every year, maybe not this year, you've got a massive table.
Big table.
Full of people. There's so many different conversations going on, and yet everybody still feels so involved. They're eating, they're drinking, the kids are running around like lunatics. It's kind of, you can't beat it. You really can't.
No, it's just, one of those time of the year where you just relax and enjoy family.
Absolutely.
So I've got the olive oil ready. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put the onions. So they're going to change color for a little bit. And you will see when they kind of lose a bit of consistency, the onions are ready. And that's where you're going to put the involtini in. And within the involtini, I usually suggest to put some bay leaves just to give a little kick of the flavor, because otherwise it's going to be a bit flat. So we're having now, the onions are changing colors.
What color do you want them?
Bit onto the gold.
And that's just onion. There's no garlic in there.
There is no garlic. No, you got already the garlic,
You got the garlic
in the
yeah.
involtini.
in the
Yes.
involtini.
So you see, obviously, the smoke is coming because the oil is quite hot. I'm gonna start to place my involtini.
So it's just to sear them, yes?
Yeah. Then I'm gonna just put some bay leaves as well.
Now, if you haven't got bay leaves like that, can you use like
Sage?
just sage, or if you can't get fresh like that, only because it's the one thing people they'll get everything and they go, I haven't got the bay leaves. You can use dried
Rosemary,
anything.
anything,
Oh,
anything
okay,
to give a
amazing.
flavour. Yeah. A bit far away, you can't really smell
Oh no,
it.
no, no, I can. Don't worry.
It's-
I
it will soon come
was just
over.
about to say that's going to smell absolutely
Kind
amazing.
of going back to my mom's kitchen. Okay.
That's like us, isn't it? We always cook ham on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So the smell of ham cooking is massive tradition. My mum has always cooked a piece of ham on Christmas Eve. So now, even if we don't eat it on Christmas Eve, I have to cook it because I need the smell, in the kitchen and throughout the house.
Ham and egg and chips. Can't go wrong. Really hard to get Cumberland sauce these days, though.
What do you do on Christmas Eve?
I mean, it's all about it's the excitement of everything. You get things ready. You kind of, it's like we'll cook a ham, but then that will be done at sort of midday, just so the smell starts coming through the house.
We've been to midnight mass. Before we had Charlie, we used to go to midnight mass, didn't we? But now I think it's that whole Christmas Eve box and having the whole excitement of, the big man coming.
Yeah,
So,
what's happening? Will he come? Have I been good? Well, who knows?
So here we're getting just like it's about a couple of minutes already. So they're changing color, and that's when you want to kind of add your tomato sauce.
Is that just passata?
It's just
Italian
passata.
passata.
Just passata, yes. So you give a little stir, and you let them cook for about 2 hours.
do you cover that, Grazia?
Yes, I usually do, yeah. Okay. What I'm gonna add as well, kind of wash this one, get all the extra.
And just with water?
Just water, yeah. So, and today we're gonna make some cannelloni pasta, and what you will need is some ricotta, boiled spinach, eggs, bit of nutmeg, and some parmesan. So this is the main ingredients, and obviously you will need some fresh pasta sheet that you can find anywhere in UK. So what I'm gonna start to cut the pasta in half, because you can make actually 2 cannelloni from 1 sheet. This is a recipe for 4 people. Then obviously it depends how much. You can increase the quantity and just double it and be for more people. There we go. So I'm gonna put the ricotta onto the bowl. I'm gonna grate some nutmeg. At this point, you want to add some salt and pepper. And then from now on, I'm gonna wear some gloves and just work with my hands, only because I kind of prefer it this way.
Is that the Italian way?
It's just, when you love cooking and you
Yeah, no,
like to
absolutely.
feel
I
it
didn't know if it
and
was-
just, that you feel the consistency and it's easier. So, you will need 2 eggs. And you will need a bit of parmesan. Don't put it all, because then you will see the consistency of the spinach, because they might just release some water.
How did you cook the spinach?
It's just boiled water, just boil them.
And you squeeze out the excess
Yeah.
water.
Usually don't, I leave a little bit, only because it will help while you're cooking.
Yeah.
So, and you start to mix. Then you will see if you will need a bit of more parmesan just to keep it.
Oh, so the parmesan kind of thickens it up almost,
Yes,
makes it a slightly
exactly.
firmer
It will be
consistency.
easier, yeah, when
Right.
you roll them. You keep just rolling.
And do you make lots of these over Christmas, or just in general?
Quite a lot.
When you say quite a lot, there's a big smile on your face. And-
Well, I will say that it's not just for Christmas, but sometimes, you know, when winter time mainly is a dish that we cook on a Sunday lunch, definitely.
You can cook that next week.
Okay.
Yeah? Just call me if you need any help.
I will, absolutely.
So there we go. We're nearly there. So I might add just a little bit.
What consistency are you looking for?
It's like a paste.
I do like the Italian just a little bit, though. Because it's, well, my just a little bit is not quite the same as an Italian's just a little bit.
It's like the French wine pouring.
I'll just have half a glass. How big's the glass, though?
Okay, we got it. So maybe a tiny bit, just to,
A little bit more, eh?
you know, it will just add flavor.
Cool.
There's nothing wrong in the kitchen unless you're making desserts.
And I suppose you don't add too much salt because the
Parm-
cheese is
exactly,
salty.
yes.
Ah, okay.
Wipe on, spot on. So I'm gonna take this one off. Throw them away. So now we're going just into rolling the cannelloni. Gonna make this one here. So before you start to roll the cannelloni, make sure you got a tray ready with a bit of tomato sauce at the bottom. Otherwise, they're gonna stick to the pot.
It smells so good.
So who taught you dishes that you cook? Was it is it a family tradition or?
It's actually a family tradition, and somehow I always loved food.
Right.
And so my grandma was a chef, my mom is a chef, the other grandma is a chef. So it's kind of, you know, growing up in
What do the men do?
the man that just, you know,
Eat it.
work and
Eat
eat.
it. We're moving to Italy.
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna kind of just start rolling, and what you will need is a teaspoon, and help yourself just with the quantity. You will put just in the middle of the pasta square, which is, and then you basically put a little bit, and then you will roll it. And here we go. We got the first one, and you put into the tray.
So,
Okay.
Fleur, how does it kind of the traditions in France differ from the ones that we kind of have in the UK?
Well, in France, we don't have the 26th. We don't have Boxing Day.
Ah, right.
Yeah. So now I know we're missing out. So we start on the 24th, which
Right.
we call the Réveillon. And originally, it's so you get to go to mess at midnight.
Yeah.
But now French people are not that religious, and some may go, but not as much. But what you have is gorgeous, gorgeous food, and you have a dinner that often goes up until sometime early in the morning. And we'll have lots of foie gras, lobster. You would have smoked salmon. You have all of this a little bit as a starter with lots of champagne. We'll have really good wine. So it's really a treat. It's really a beautiful evening. Some people will then move on to another main as well. I know in my family we keep it more like that. And the thing is, we don't celebrate Christmas all of December like you do in England.
Right.
I adore that about England. It's from the 1st of December. It's, you know, it's a month of it. In my family, we do. We call it entraînement, which is practicing. So we're practicing opening some champagne
Absolutely.
quite a few weeks before Christmas to make sure we're ready for Christmas Eve.
So you were talking about the foie gras, the lobster. We're going to France as well as Italy. And So does that literally just get put in the middle of the table and everybody helps themselves, or is it dished out? Is it done as a meal? So someone would kind of say, well, that's yours, that's yours.
So it's dished out, and ideally you have different wine as well to match different dishes and whatever works well. So I think in France it's a bit like in Italy, Grazia. Every region's got their own dish and got their own wine as well.
So from where you are from?
Lyon.
And your dish would be?
So I don't think there's a typical dish for Christmas in each region, but you will always have flavor or match, which is what is important, because wine is not automatically done to be drunk on its own. You would have food with it. But everybody will have champagne, you start. So in Italy, you have the petole, we'll have probably some foie gras on toast, or you can have it sit down at the table. You'll have lobster, which normally you would have kind of a nice Burgundy or Chardonnay, maybe as you know it. In France, we work by region rather than grape. Yeah. And then you also have the big meal on Christmas Day at lunch. And the tradition is, like in England, it's turkey, but it's with la dindon marron. So you've got chestnuts with it.
We have that in the stuffing, don't we? Quite often we'll have a chestnut, stuffing that will go with it rather than actually. But roasted chestnuts we have over here. You get the kind of or maybe not so much now, but you have the vendors that do roasted chestnuts. So
yes.
That's quite a.
So we've got marron glacé in France. So you buy it in a box like chocolate, and they're like kind of iced chestnuts, and they're iced in sugar.
Okay.
It's quite rich, but you eat it like that. And in my region, actually, you were saying where I come from in Lyon, we've got one of my favorite is papillote. So you open it, and you normally will have a quote from a writer or an artist or a great quote, and inside is the most beautiful chocolate. And there's always a bowl in every house, so you can have your papillotes throughout the day,
Are they
throughout
different
December.
Flavours, though?
Yep, you
So
choose.
there's always the ones that get left at the bottom.
Yeah.
The ones that nobody likes.
It depends. They're all good, though.
Right.
And for dessert, we'll have la bûche de Noël. So it looks like a log. And often it's either as an ice cream or with chocolate, it depends. But before that, we've got cheese.
Of course.
Because unlike you, it doesn't stop us from sleeping.
No.
A meal is not finished without cheese in France.
So therefore, you'll have champagne to start.
Yes.
Or but you say you're going to have wine. Obviously there are wines that you have with food, without food. Champagne you can have at any time, right?
Of course.
So that's all I needed to know. And then you'd have a wine with what would be classed as your starters. Then you would have something with your main.
Yes.
Then what would you have with cheese?
With cheese, I myself like a bigger red wine. But for me, wine is all about personal taste. It's what you like. There's no right or wrong. You know, I know here you like to drink a lot of dessert wine, for example, with cheese. And if that's what people like, then that's what they should be doing.
Absolutely.
And also, it depends what cheese you have on the table.
Yeah, of course.
Because if you have a blue cheese, a dessert wine will work. We will... I'll talk about a Tokai later on, which worked perfectly with it. I like red wine with a bit more body myself. I think what's important is either when you do food and wine to contrast quite a lot or keep the flavors the same. So like if you have spicy Asian food, you would want a sweeter white wine, so that balance each other, and it's quite contrasting. Otherwise, try to keep the flavor similar. So if the nice, soft, creamy cheese, a lighter red wine. If you've got stronger cheese, go for a bigger red wine.
Nearly ready, guys. We've got all the cannelloni here. They are ready and layered here. What you want to do now, just put extra tomato sauce and a bit more of parmesan.
A little bit of parmesan.
Just a little bit.
They're so neat.
I'm already hungry.
I know, it's amazing.
So what was the first dish you ever learnt to cook, Grazia?
Was make pasta.
The actual pasta
The
itself?
actual pasta, yeah, the dough of the pasta, yeah.
And who taught you that? Your mum or your
Grandma.
grandma?
My grandma, yeah. Then you learn how to make tomato sauce.
Yeah.
They are the basic.
So if you can make pasta and you can make tomato sauce, you're all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're covering the basic of Italian food.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Okay.
Pasta is a must, isn't it?
Yes. These are ready to go in the oven, guys. And obviously you will put them for 30 minutes up to 200 degrees. So there we go, guys. We got actually the cannelloni out of the oven just right now. That's the way they're gonna look like. There we go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm gonna start to plate them, and Fleur is gonna talk about the wine that we're gonna pair.
Yes, absolutely. So we're gonna have a very classic Italian wine match, which is the Brunello, the Montalcino. I hope I'm not...
It's perfect.
Yes, okay. So we've got a Brunello, the Montalcino 2013, and we've also got a Pinot Noir from New Zealand. Tom, could I ask you to pour it?
Yeah, of course.
For us. And I'm actually going to decant the Brunello.
So why would you decant it?
So when a wine's got a bit more age, and when you get to a, shall I say, a certain level of wine, you want to let the wine breathe, yeah? And you will get a lot more flavor out of it. It will soften the harshness of the wine, or the strong maybe tannin, and it will be tasting for perfection. So I'm just doing it now, because people get scared of the word decanting, and actually decanting is absolutely nothing. So I just want to show you, but normally you would do that an hour before you go into drink
How
it.
long would you, and then if once it's in there, how long could it stay in there for, or is it?
Well,
I know it probably doesn't last that long.
yeah, I don't tend to have leftover. But what you would do is you wouldn't maybe keep it as long as in a bottle, because you got some air already.
Yeah.
And that's where your wine will go down. So you want to keep your decanter a little bit on the side, and same for the wine. So it's a little bit like when you're pouring champagne, and you want to actually pour it slowly into your decanter. You could have a little bit of sediment sometime,
Yep.
which looks a little bit like earth, almost.
Yeah, it's got an ash at the bottom, doesn't it? Yeah.
You won't want to pour that in, because it wouldn't taste nice. But it's just the end. But it's perfectly natural, and there's nothing wrong with it.
So of a wine that's slightly older, as it were, or a slightly different vintage, would you leave a tiny bit at the bottom just in case, or because otherwise that's wasting it, surely? If you
No, I wouldn't, unless I can see it. So what you would see here, and we could have a look at it now.
Oh, if you'd see it down the side.
You look at it over light, and you would be able to see, but we're fine here. We don't have any. So yes, once you've decanted, you would not want to keep it for as long. But if you have a decanter like this one, who's got a top, that's even better.
So we've got one from Italy and one from New Zealand.
Yes.
Clearly kind of opposite sides of the world. What's the difference? And
So the Brunello, Brunello is from Tuscany in Italy, and it's a 100% Sangiovese, which is one regulation you've got to have.
right.
And what you've called is Italy and New Zealand. So I've chosen here 2 grapes that have enough body to take the meat, but not too much body to overpower the cannelloni.
So
If that makes sense.
How many grape varieties? I mean, there must be hundreds of grape varieties, I suppose.
Yes,
I
they
don't- I mean,
are. And these ones are quite great, because this is 100% Sangiovese and 100% Pinot Noir, which are 2 grapes who are a bit lighter. With Brunello, they can be medium to full body.
Right.
And it's really about knowing the producer. This is a really small wine producer who makes beautiful wine. And I prefer going for small producer, really.
You see it even in the colour, can't you? There now, you've got this much darker.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of Ribena-like. This
Yeah.
So we've talked about red. What about for the white wine drinkers?
So for the white wine drinker, especially the cannelloni, you know, some people may not like. I would go for a white who's got a bit of body. So Chardonnay is a good grape to go for it. If it's a wine from the Old World, by the way, is mainly Europe. It's countries who've been producing wine for a much longer time. And New World is the Americas, North, South, Australia, New Zealand, like here. The New World is great because there's less regulation. So if I'm correct, this is 2019.
Yes.
And it will taste like an old word from 2015 because the weather, the sun, everything will make a wine taste a lot older because the grapes ripe differently. You will also have the sea. This is from south of New Zealand. New Zealand is very famous for great Pinot Noir. And white wine, as I said, you could go for a bigger grape or Chardonnay, quite buttery. But the best way really is to try it with the food and see what you prefer.
I've got everything ready for you guys.
Wow.
Amazing.
There we go.
That looks incredible.
There we go.
And the Brunello
Thanks a lot, Fleur.
and the Pinot Noir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's your Pinot Noir there, Fleur.
Thank you.
Amazing.
So you can see the color. I mean, they are very
They're
different.
really different, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And often with red wine, when they get older, they get lighter, while white wine will get darker.
Really?
So that's how you can tell if a wine's got a bit of age. But then each
nice.
grape's got their own color as well.
It just smells so different.
Can you have this?
I love the Brunello.
Oh, the Brunello is...
It's just like,
And it's great to have what I was talking about, the wine who goes with the region, with the food. It's meant to go together.
Does it matter which one we taste first?
Maybe...
Well, I know what you're going to say.
well, exactly. So yes, you have the cannelloni guys ready, and with the brasciole. You involtini beef. Usually we don't serve them together because we do have the pasta first and the meat after. But just for this occasion, I thought it would be nice to put them together. We can try everything. Yeah, enjoy. I hope you like it.
Thank you.
It looks delicious.
And the pasta, which will be a bit more delicate, you can try the Pinot Noir with as well.
Okay.
And the Brunello will have a bit more body maybe for the beef. But really, again, it's whatever you prefer.
Cannelloni's delicious.
You can really taste the parsley and the
Yeah.
garlic and the caper in the beef. It gives another dimension. It's so good. Oh,
That's delicious.
What do you prefer?
All of it. A big plate.
That's so good.
I think the Brunello really brings the flavor you get as well. You get it matched really well. It's got more complexity in the flavors, so it can take the complexity of the beef, of the capers, of the garlic, of the parsley,
The Brunello with the involtini is amazing.
and with the pasta.
Great. Traditionally, we have cannelloni and involtini beef for Christmas lunch. I hope you enjoyed, and please follow me on the next episode if you'd like to know a bit more about the Christmas desserts. Chin chin.
Cheers! Santé! Thank you, Grazia.
Christmas.
Christmas.